Good morning, Oklahoma, and welcome to Cow-Calf Corner. This week, and actually next week's topics, we're going to revisit something that we cover each fall, and it is the potential economic benefit of looking at our feedstuffs per unit of nutrient that they contain, as opposed to just looking at that cost on a price per ton basis. Right now, at the time we tape, we could buy 38% range cubes at about $475 a ton, bulk price, or 20% range cubes at about $350 a ton, bulk price. Now, again, that's the moment we're taping. We know these prices vary from week to week, month to month, and year to year. Obviously, it looks more appealing to be buying those range cubes at $350 a ton than it does $475, but actually based on our specific target that we're shooting for from a nutritional standpoint, one or the other of these options may be a little bit better if we break down these feed costs on a price per unit of either crude protein or the energy that they contain. Both of these range cubes are about 70% TDN. And what does that mean to us? The energy content in either one is about the same. So if we're needing an energy feed, we'll take a look at that cost. If we're actually needing a protein supplement, we'll take a look at that cost. So looking at these step by step, 38% range cubes at $475 a ton. That means that these protein contents are given on an as-is basis. That ton of range cubes containing 38% crude protein has actually got 760 pounds of crude protein that we're buying. At 70% TDN, taking a look at the energy content, we're buying 1,400 pounds of energy per ton of those range cubes. So what does this equate to? If we take a look at these prices per unit of nutrient, take our $475 price per ton, divide it by the 760 pounds of protein that we're getting, and that works out to a cost of about 62 and a half cents per unit of crude protein that we're purchasing in those 38% cubes. By that same token, the $475 per ton price divided by 1,400 pounds of energy works out to a price of about 34 cents per pound of total digestible nutrients, our expression of energy for the sake of the example we're working through. We take a look at those 20% cubes and do the same math. 20% cubes are going to have 400 pounds of crude protein per ton, 1,400 pounds of TDN. TDN content of both these is the same. So our per unit cost, $350 a ton price divided by 400 pounds of crude protein, is a per pound cost of about 87 and a half cents if we're looking at that by crude protein content. The energy content, $350 divided by the $1,400 of energy, we're at about 25 cents per pound of TDN that we're buying in those 20% cubes. So at this point, we can ask ourselves, well, what is actually the better buy here? And that depends entirely upon our feeding objective. We know that cows, calves, all different ages, stages of production, their energy and their protein requirements change. So next week, we're actually going to take a look at this relative to a specific feeding goal. But what we can answer for right now is that the energy purchase in the 20% cubes looks more cost effective. The protein content per unit is more cost effective in the 38% cubes, looking specifically at the cost per unit of protein versus the cost per unit of energy. I hope you can join us next week. We'll look at a specific feeding scenario and talk about the money saved or the extra money we would cost ourselves if we make the wrong choice. Thanks for joining us on Cow-Calf Corner.